We have two camps of people when it comes to the real estate market. One camp is like, it's crashing, it's burning, the whole place is foreclosing on. Then you have the other camp that's like, everything's fine, nothing's going to happen. Everybody's going to be increasing their home prices. And it's freaking creepy because you never know who to listen to. So I'm going to be showing you the exact charts that come from the National Association of Realtors, the National Association of Home Builders, and Black Knight Analytics when it comes to the data reports on mortgage delinquencies. And another key big indicator of the health of the housing market is the jobs market. And why is it so freaking important to the housing market? So the reason I bring up jobs right away when it comes to the real estate market is because of the last housing crash. When jobs started to suffer, then people couldn't pay their mortgages. There was all sorts of other different problems that happened in the last housing crash that do not reflect this market. But one of them includes jobs. When more and more people were being laid off in the 2006, 7, 8, 9 housing market, the job layoffs were high, and so were the foreclosure rates. So where are we today, as of right now, for the jobs numbers? I'm getting these statistics straight from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I am not skewing this from any article, so it's just the facts.
Just the facts, ma'am.
The total non-farm payroll employment rose by 390,000 in May, and unemployment rate remained at 3.6%. The U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics reported notable job gains occurred in the leisure and hospitality and in the professional business services. All of these numbers make sense because at the beginning of the pandemic, most of these people that they're talking about that have now gotten back into jobs were the same people that were laid off during the beginning of the pandemic. So now they're all getting their jobs back. But these numbers are very important to pay attention to when it comes to a housing crash and if you're waiting for home prices to drop. If you start seeing the jobs numbers start tanking, that means more and more people are going to be less likely to be able to pay for their mortgage. If this is the case, that's when you really need to keep your eye out. And to me, this will be the number one indicator that's going to cause housing prices to really rapidly drop. At the beginning of the pandemic, there was a record number of people that had taken forbearance. Since then, there's been numerous people that have been able to just pick up where they left off and were able to pay their mortgage just like they always had, or they went ahead and restructured their loan. But according to Black Knight, the national delinquency rate fell about 5 basis points in April to 2.75 in May, continued a downward trend in the overall delinquencies of the prior 2 months and marking yet another new low. While serious delinquencies saw a strong improvement, falling 7% from April, the population of such loans, those that were 90 days or more past due, but not yet foreclosed, remains 45% above pre-pandemic levels. So this is a number that you should be focusing on if you are waiting for a wave of foreclosures to hit the market. It's just not there yet. We're not in a crash just yet. And let's just say the beginning of June, jobs go in the toilet. People are getting laid off left and right. It will take months. I'm telling you months before those homes that they haven't been paying on their mortgage, if they have a mortgage, would get onto the market. It takes a mortgage servicer about 6 to 9 months to get it to the whole foreclosure process to be able to be purchased. In many cases, when you look at foreclosures, they've already been pre-sold to another company, like large investment firms. So even though you may see home prices being decreased in your area right now, that doesn't mean that we're in a housing crash. Just like I've always said at every time, every single housing market is different. If you're looking to buy in a specific area, make sure you contact a local real estate agent in your area when it comes to home prices. And if you don't like their answer, ask several real estate agents. I assure you there's more than one or two or even three. So now that I've mentioned home prices dropping, let's talk about that a little bit. In my comment section, people have been saying home prices have been dropping exponentially. I had one person that even told me that in their area it had dropped down 50%. Of course, I asked them where they lived and they never did answer my question because I haven't seen anywhere that the home prices have dropped down 50%. But I have seen in some areas some significant price drops. But let's see what the National Association of Realtors has to say. And they said existing home sales are minus 3.4%. The latest news at 407,600, the median existing home price sales exceeded the 400,000 for the first time in May of 2020. Month over month sales declined in the 3 out of 4 regions of the U.S. and year over year sales fell in all 4 regions. And that might confirm what you were thinking is that the housing market is crashing. But let me explain a little bit of what's going on. As you know, interest rates have increased. And of course, that made a lot of buyers that were on the fence either A, jump right on it right away, or B, they just said, you know what, we can't afford to buy a home. And a lot of home sellers that were pretty rambunctious with their sales price decided to go ahead and drop their sales prices. Once you see all these numbers and you put them all together and you find out that, oh my my gosh, there's less buyers. Oh my gosh, there's more listings. Now that they're dropping their sales price, of course, the median price of a home had to have dropped, right? No, it rose. And the biggest reason is we still don't have enough supply of homes. Even though the demand has trickled back, does not mean that the sales price, current sales price, didn't go up. Just a scotch, just a little bit. Here's a chart I want to show you from the National Association of Realtors, and it's the Realtor Confidence Index. But sales to investors, that increased as well, and cash sales went down just a little bit, and distressed properties went up just 1 percentage point. Days on the market increased by 1 day, just 1 day. So I know a lot of people are saying, well, there's been a house in my neighborhood that's been on the market for about 60 days. Well, first of all, it's probably overpriced. Secondly of all, it might be in bad shape. There's a million reasons why a house sits on a market. And you got to take into consideration everything that's sold in the area. That's just an average of days on the market. And this is on a national scale when it comes to the numbers that I'm showing you from the National Association of Realtors. It's going to be completely different for your specific area. And look here, the South sold the most amount of homes, 44%. Right next to it was the Midwest, and then the West, and then the Northeast. But you're looking for a deal, and you're looking for a deal now. It has been rumored by many people in my comment section that they've seen home builders taking big price reductions and giving more incentives. Even in my own area here, I have been seeing some incentives that have come from home builders, like back to closing costs and maybe some upgrades, which is a great thing if you're thinking about buying a brand new house. Those home builders have been increasing prices exponentially, so it's nice to kind of see a little bit going back to the home buyers. And I hate to tell you this now because it just gives you another reason to hate a lot of home builders. They're not increasing home building. And that's because the builder sentiment when it comes to new construction has dropped to its lowest level in 2 years. They do not feel very good about the fact that they'll get their homes sold to people when the interest rates are this incredibly high. Not only that, they've had supply chain issues that have been one right after another. So they're not really willing to build as many homes as they were necessarily a year ago. Now they are completing the homes that they have started, but they're not willing to put out brand new homes. The ones that they just start, with the pad and everything, they're like, we're going to hold off on that. Not until we know exactly what's going on with the market. And you can't really blame them, but that's still causing a problem with the supply. We still have a lack of a supply of homes on the market, and that's why we continue to see home prices rise. But even though home builders aren't willing to build right now, it doesn't mean they're not trying to address the affordability crisis. I know that seems counterintuitive, but they have addressed it several times with Congress. And this just came out July 1st. I wanted you to hear this from the National Association of Home Builders. This is what they said. The NAHB is disappointed the House panels did not address the issues our members brought up to the entire Congress on June 15th. To spotlight the growing housing affordability crisis, in more than 200 meetings with lawmakers, NAHB members called on Congress to support policies that would ease building material production bottlenecks and increase production of quality, affordable housing. The way for Congress to improve affordability conditions is to implement policies that will help builders to construct more single-family homes and apartments to meet with the customer's demand. To help achieve this, lawmakers need to focus on strategies to ease volatile building material prices and supply chain disruptions, and burdensome federal regulations and chronic construction labor shortage. These are problems that the construction industry has been facing since long before the pandemic, and it was exacerbated because of the pandemic. I've been saying for quite some time that as much as I don't like the government meddling in things, this is one of those things that they can help with the cost of building materials. They also can help with the cost of the land itself. There's lots of land that's owned by the government that isn't necessarily meant for parks or anything else. It could be easily turned into and used for affordable housing options. They've done it before. I've said this a million times. They did it during World War II. They could do it again. And this was addressed in the Biden speech not too long ago, so I don't know why Congress won't address it now. But again, it's government. This is what they always do. They drag their feet until we get annoyed enough, and then they'll finally address it. Look, I know that you've probably watched my channel as well as 14 other channels when it comes to real estate and getting the proper real estate advice. My advice to you is don't listen to just one of us. Listen to all of us. Look at the data that they're presenting on the screen for yourself. I'm not saying that some people misconstrue data, but sometimes people may get it wrong. So go on some of these websites and look at it for yourself so that way you can make a more educated decision. So with everything that you saw today, do you still think that we're heading into a housing crash? If it isn't a crash, how long do you think it will take before we do see housing prices plummet into the ground? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. To watch more videos about the affordability crisis here in the United States, go ahead and watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.